Soundstripe.
Hi, and welcome back to KSB TV YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me today for Live, Laugh, Learn. Typically, you would see me and T-Rob starting the show off. I want to send much love to him and his family and condolences. They had a loss in the family, so he couldn't be here tonight. But I will continue to hold us down, try to stay consistent with our new show. Today, we are talking about Powercity, checking in with them. We love this team. You should love this team. They do great things for the community. We got the opportunity to coordinate with them, to collaborate with them for their Powercity post-chain party in Las Vegas. They also collaborated with us for the Postmasters. They are the ones who had that huge, awesome golf ball cannon. You cannot forget them. Today, we have two members of their team, the Long Vacation and KDP. Unfortunately, KDP has been experiencing some internet issues, so I don't know if she'll be able to start the show with us, but hopefully something, comes together and then we can get her on the show, because I know that's why a lot of you guys are here, to come and see the most beautiful Hexican, Miss KDP. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on the Long Vacation.
Hello.
How's it going?
Busy, but doing okay. So really do apologize for not having Katie with us. She's a real star of the show here. I'm just, the guy working in the background trying to keep things moving. So hopefully she can get connected as we go. We can bring her on. But thank you so much for having Powercity on. We love working with you. Like you said, we had a great time in Las Vegas coordinating multiple events. And I got to say, seeing some of the video from those, it was a success. And we are just excited to see just the results of the fashion show, the Stay True fashion show with Suzanne, and how the golf outing, the Pulse Masters worked out, right? And just even with the intense heat in the desert, the amazing turnout that we had there. So it was very exciting.
Absolutely. So the idea behind our show is that we try to get into our life. How are you been living? What's exciting, new changes since the last time we checked in with you? We're going to laugh a little bit, maybe show some clips of something interesting that's happened amongst the community or in the Powercity community. And then we're going to learn. We're going to learn about what Powercity is, what you guys have been doing, any updates, what we can expect from the team in the future. So if we get straight into the live, how have you been living since the last time we seen you?
It's been kind of a roller coaster to be honest. So I did have the luxury of spending some extra time in Las Vegas after all the events finished. My wife came out. We took a few days to actually kind of breathe and enjoy and, catch some really nice dinners, a couple of shows and relax. So thank goodness, because it's been insane since then. Most recently I had a relative who was displaced by Hurricane Ian down in Florida, and her apartment was pretty much destroyed by the storm, and had to kind of race down there and help her, get out of that situation, try to recover as much as we could, and kind of relocate her to actually a different part of the country, try to get out of storm zone altogether. And it's actually, thankfully, after 2.5 weeks of insanity, going to have some happy endings, which is good. So It's just crazy how these things pop up in your life, and I just drop everything and run. And thank God we have a big team at Powercity keeping everything going while I had to step out. They've been fantastic covering everything for me. And but now it's kind of back to nose to the grindstone and getting the work done. We are in the middle of testing 3 projects right now because we're developing 3 things in parallel. Right, we're a glutton for punishment. One wasn't enough. We're building an entire ecosystem of stuff, and we have 3 projects that are in development right now and kind of overlapping each other in testing. So it's very exciting to see and touch a lot of these things because it's all been theoretical for so long, and we so much want to show off what we have. It's just not quite there yet. We're so close though.
Yeah, I'm super excited about what you guys are doing, and I know that we're going to get into it. But Pixel Park, I mean, every time I see a little glimpse of what you guys have going on with that Pixel Park, I'm like so excited. I mean, you got some top-notch artists over there. So I see Katie trying to pop back in. I'm going to bring her up and see if she can get loaded or if she's still, yeah, her internet is struggling. But I see how much she wants to be here. Katie, I see that you just muted your mic. Are we able to just get audio from you if you unmute? Nope, I don't think so. So I'm gonna pull her back down and see if she can continue to work on it.
I feel
So
for her. I know it's so frustrating fighting this stuff when this tech doesn't want to work, man. I mean, getting all of this configured is frustrating to no end.
yeah, and Katie's a real hex lady. You probably associate her more so with Pulse Chain because she's a little bit newer to the community and she's working with Powercity and whatnot. But if you really look at the heart of her posts, she is a true hex lady. Like she believes in the project, and we have wanted to get together, and talk hex lady, 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, however, for such a long time. So I know we've both been looking forward to this stream. So I know she's pretty like frustrated right now. But don't worry, Katie. If we have to do a whole nother stream just dedicated to you, we will for sure do that because you are that much of an asset to the community. But why I have you here, LV, just for the people who don't know what role you play within Powercity, help us to understand, how are you a founding member? How did you come to find Powercity and the role that you play currently?
Sure. So Powercity was born out of just a side conversation group in Telegram that a lot of us were in the Pulse Chain Com room, and then eventually found ourselves in Just Ask Jesse's vault, which was kind of like where as the discussion in Pulse Chain Com devolved, a lot of the folks who were talking game theory and how Pulse was going to work kind of ended up in the vault. And we were always trying to look at different angles on how Pulse Chain was going to work and breaking it all down and trying to figure it out. A subset of us ended up in yet another room trying to think of, we saw some other projects that were running on Ethereum and other chains that were really interesting, but we were trying to think, well, there's got to be a better way to do it because there were some fatal flaws in some of them. And it just started as a brainstorming kind of, like-minded people following a couple of favorite things, and turned into this, hey, we've got a lot of ideas. We've learned a lot of lessons watching all these things. We could probably do this. And we started kind of mapping out our first idea, which actually went nowhere, but it was a great experience in bringing everyone together, brainstorming about like, how would we do this one thing better, right? And in the end, we ended up going a different direction, but we did realize like, okay, this is a great group of guys. We want to try to do something. Let's make this official. And that's where Powercity was born. And to the point where it's going to be a 1-year anniversary, November 5th, I retired from my career to join Powercity full time, and been focusing on this nonstop ever since. So I believe in it. I think we have an amazing, vision of some really creative DeFi that, it goes in new directions. Everything is a new build. There's no copy pasta going on. which, is great and extremely challenging at the same time, right? Because just everything takes longer because you're building it from the ground up. But it's incredibly challenging in a good way. And I've never been this passionate about doing something than when I first started project management work 20, 25 years ago. So it's nice to have that passion back, because corporate America can kind of suck the life out of you. I don't know if you ever remember an old Tom Hanks video, a movie, it's Joe versus the Volcano. Awful movie. But there's this one scene where at the beginning he works in this company, this corporate job, and he's talking about how the lights in the ceiling are just so bright and off and just sucking the life out of his body. And that's like how it feels sometimes in corporate America, right? You're a drone, you're just doing this one thing, and in the end, you're not even just accomplishing anything, right? It's this big monolithic organization, and you're just a tiny cog in this massive, massive machine. And now having the ability to participate in a much smaller group, to have a broader impact, to really throw ourselves into these ideas and figure out how to make them a reality. I love how piecing things together. I love puzzles. I love, the challenge of not only solving the one problem, but figuring out how to multitask it too. Okay, we can solve one problem, but we have these three over here. How do we bring that in here and then have one thing kind of tie it all together and accomplish everything into one solution? That's the kind of stuff that just gets me going. So
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the team a little bit, because I know I've got an opportunity to meet a lot of the Powercity team. I'm probably one of you guys' biggest fans. I mean, Toshi, Post Jesus, I mean, all of them, Magic Carpet Ride, like everybody is just so awesome, so committed to the ecosystem and to building each other up. KDP, let's just talk about a little bit about the different expertise the team has, like how many devs, artists, what are some of the different roles that people play?
Well, we definitely come from a lot of different backgrounds. Some people still have, day jobs, and some are full time. So it's a very diverse background. Some of us are from a software delivery, work as professionals in our prior lives, and some of us were teachers. Some of us were salesmen. Some of us were, they ran their own businesses. So it's kind of across the gamut, and I love the diversity of thought that we can bring into things, because it's important to have multiple viewpoints. It's important to see problems from multiple angles, to think through the solutions and to find a way to think across the board, right? I mean, if I did it all myself and it was just me solving everything, it would be Long Vacation's way, and only Long Vacation's perspective based on Long Vacation's history, right? But coming with so many people to the table with different backgrounds, we can get so many different perspectives and angles on things, and a lot of creativity that we wouldn't have otherwise had. I think that's a strength. And definitely believe that diversity and background, and not just color, race, creed, and culture, background, way of thought, experience, all that diversity builds into something that if you leverage it and celebrate it, that you can do something great with it.
Absolutely, for sure. So I'm gonna segue into this next little section that we like to call time to laugh.
Hey, where'd you find my dance moves here? Because that's about me. Yeah.
I love that clip because it's so cringy. I'm like, if this guy can laugh and dance, then anybody should just like let their guard down and have a great time. So I pulled this clip from, I want to say Abid, and he's in the chat. So big shout out to Abid for joining us today. Okay, I see something a little different. Hey, Katie, are you there? I thought maybe we get audio.
So close.
Well, I like having her picture. So I'll leave her up for a second to see if we can get audio from her. But I had so much fun at the fashion show. And I just love how everybody let their guard down, the different influencers. I mean, RG3 was by far like the man, the funniest of the night. So I pulled this little clip and we're just going to watch about a minute of the fashion show.
Nobody really cares. We can tell you the only one that ain't prepared. Oh yes, I'ma be a millionaire. 5, a couple trillion shares. Oh no, I ain't getting wrecked again. Richard Hart, he got us set to win. We're a family, we all the best of friends. We ain't a cult, man, just call us Hexicans. Your investments are safe, it's got defenses. A mutable contract that pays trustless interest. I don't understand why everybody is hating. Hex is capped at 3.69 inflation. Shares are like hash rate. The higher you take her, the more daily interest that gets paid to the stakers. Always do your own research, don't listen to me though. It's complete, it can't be changed. Hex is finito. Call it a scam, nobody really cares. We can tell you the only one that ain't prepared. Oh yes, I'ma be a millionaire. 5, a couple trillion shares. Oh no, I ain't getting wrecked again. Richard Hart, he got us set to win. We're a family, we all the best of friends.
Yes,
that was awesome. That was an awesome edit too. I gotta say, Vin did a great job putting that together with the music and everything. So great video.
I don't know who your team is, but that's who we should be giving like huge shout out to. That video that you guys have posted on your channel, absolutely love. That is a top-notch team that you guys have that created, you know, like all of your content for Vegas.
Pulse Jesus is the brain, you know, the person in charge of all that, and he pulled it all together. He's got a great friend who runs his own video production company. Brought them in, we engaged them to capture everything throughout the week, and he's just been mining through all that video to, you know, not only post the pieces that we saw of the fashion show, but eventually to pull together a bit of a documentary from the, you know, the Hexican point of view, right? So Richard Hart's going to have his documentary eventually. You know, we'll have something special from for the rest of us, right, around our experiences on the other side of Hex, and, you know, what we've been doing within the community, what we've been experiencing in Las Vegas and beyond. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Abid is in the chat talking about the other clips that he had, but he also has been creating our like semi-documentary from the road trip that we went on. So we'll be having tons of clips coming out. And that's one thing that I love about the community is the content that just expresses the Hexican perspective, right? Not just always so technical, because there's only so much that you can learn, you know, about Hex, but you can start to see why this community is so special when you get that point of view from each individual. So I think that we'll really get to see that when you guys' documentary comes out. And I know I've been catching some of the clips that Abid's been putting together, and they're all like testimonials, you know, people just talking about how Hex has changed their life and what they would like to see when Pulse Chain launches in order to continue to build and grow the community. So I think that that's probably a great segue for what's next. Let's learn about Powercity. I'm going to give Katie one more shot here because she popped back in. Katie, can we hear you? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yay.
We did it. We got her.
I just can't do video. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay.
No, I'm the one who should be apologizing. You don't want to see me, guys, but at least we got Katie on, so that's awesome.
We got a beautiful picture. We got a beautiful picture, and we love to hear your voice. So tell us how you've been doing, Katie.
I missed that. What did you say? Sorry.
It's okay. I just said, tell us how you've been doing. We just want to catch up with you. You know, we'll run it back a little bit so we can just see what's up with you.
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. We kind of caught up with LV as far as, you know, what's going on with the team, who the team is made of. And we know that recently you joined the Powercity team. Talk to us a little bit about, you know, what you're doing as a team member.
So obviously, yeah, I joined Powercity. My job is just to be a core team member like the rest of them. I test the applications with them. I have input. I am supposed to stream if I can get it to work. And just help people learn and educate people about crypto and Powercity as a whole.
Absolutely. And you're doing a great job. If you haven't seen some of her videos, she really helps break it down at a level that anyone can understand. Very informative, but still very to the point, and not, just speaking crypto facts. Because I think sometimes some of our devs, they're like, oh, everyone uses this lingo. And you a lot of times that we are not all software developers. So I appreciate you for that.
I definitely have to agree with that. Sometimes everybody likes to go into the weeds, and I'm like, well, back up a minute, guys. Everybody else needs to be able to understand what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But what's wonderful is Katie can dive right into those weeds with everybody else, though. So while you're fantastic at bringing it up for everyone to be able to understand, right, and breaking it down into the bite-sized pieces that, like, aha, I can have that aha moment. You're right there in the nitty-gritty with us and pointing out, well, what about that? What about that? And how does that work? And it's fantastic. I love it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about it a little bit. I know, Powercity is a huge project. It's a huge undertaking. You guys, like you said, you're in parallel working on maybe 3 different projects. So I'm going to kind of let you guys decide which one we dive into first and how they're all connected.
I'd like to dive into the core first, personally, if LB would.
Sure. Ladies first.
Well, the core is the main reason why I started questioning Powercity about what they're building, because to me it was super interesting. They changed their design. So like originally it was like a rebase token. So essentially there was like an intrinsic value, like a threshold point that it had to remain in between, which is super complex to actually code that. But then they changed the core design. And now it's a protocol owned liquidity. So one of the main problems that you find in DeFi or in any cryptocurrency is a founder has to own majority shares of the token itself or have a pre-token allocation provided to the founder or the team to be able to put up liquidity, to be able to initially start the starting price for a token. And Powercity actually has a AMM, so its own protocol owned liquidity. The founders, the team, there is no pre-token allocation. It is its own automated market maker. So essentially you can come to our protocol at any time and buy and sell through our protocol. So for me, the core was one of the most interesting features. And then the core itself is also where the native watt stakers come to stake their native token. And they get to, so the watt token pool is in AMP shares. And whatever shares of AMPs you have with your watt token is what percentage of the revenue that you get. So we aren't arbitrarily inflated. Our token pays you in revenue that's generated from our dApps in our ecosystem. So if we had our cross-chain swap up and running and people came and utilized that, there is a fee that's generated through them utilizing that application. And those fees go back into the core to pay our native watt stakers in the form of Pulse.
Okay. So it is entirely tied to Pulse Chain. There's no plans of releasing before Pulse Chain. Everything is geared to be able to stimulate Pulse Chain. Is that correct?
Well, with the
We
latest
are building
announcements
full
from
Pulse Chain.
we are with the latest announcements from Richard around his pivot of his design. It's got a lot of people scratching their heads on like, well, how long is this going to be? Is this faster? Is this slower? And so on and so forth. So while we're designing for Pulse Chain, what I will say is that we will not be limited to Pulse Chain. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of things that we're developing that can be used in a lot of places. And just the cross-chain swap alone, right? That tool alone will be on many chains because it will connect Pulse Chain to, what was the number? It was like 39 different chains across 26. Yeah, right. It was some crazy number. So it's going to be a massive reach across all of crypto and allowing people from all those chains and all those places to get into Pulse Chain and other places, right? Not just a bridge to Pulse chain. Like Pulse ramp is just between Ethereum and Pulse, and that's it. But our transformer cross-chain swap will allow you to get from any place to any place practically through almost any token to almost any token on any of those chains, including those on Pulse chain. So it's giving you easy access to get around, because when you're stuck on an island, all you can do is interact with that island. But when you have access to other islands, that's where a lot of interesting things can start happening.
Absolutely. And Trifecta here is asking about the cross chains and if there's like a timeline for when you guys think you'll be operable.
Well, we have announced our partnership with Multichain. So Multichain is going to be building a bridge to Pulse chain. Multichain also connects many other chains. So, that's where we're getting this connectivity, and is a reputable, experienced bridge building company that will be joining or coming to Pulse chain to add connectivity there and support tokens that are listed in not only our internal automated market maker for Watt token in the core, but also in PulseX. So we're working with them right now to start building that out. And our transformer will be then utilizing a lot of their services and others to allow all that connectivity across the board. So it's these big partnerships that we're trying to bring to Pulse Chain that will open the doors for broader adoption. Because if we didn't have all these ways, all these routes to come onto the chain, and if the only way you can get there is through Ethereum and Ethereum's fees, that's a barrier to entry. Absolutely. But if you can say go to Coinbase and you can buy AVAX and you can take that AVAX to your MetaMask and then bridge that over from Avalanche to Pulse Chain, right, or anywhere else you want to go. Now you have a way cheaper way to get onto the chain without having to go through all these crazy high fees on any one specific chain.
Just to add to that, though, the crypto market cap, even in a bear market, is $978 billion. Like, to limit yourself to just onboarding people through centralized exchanges is a massive defect, in my opinion, when it comes to launching a new chain. So if you want to go approach somebody that's already on AVAX that has a token over there, you don't have to tell them to now, bridge back over to Ethereum, bridge into Pulse Chain, or send your tokens back to a centralized exchange and then send it over this place and then come into this place. You can literally just come to our protocol and be able to utilize it to do it in just one transaction. But the other added feature that we are bringing is we're actually bringing Pulse Chain's first DEX aggregator. So an aggregator is a search engine for DEXs. So multiple DEXs and multiple liquidity pools. So essentially you can find the best route to execute your trade through our cross-chain swap. So that's also how we have the ability to swap into any token from any token, is by utilizing DEX aggregators on each side. So you can move out of AVAX straight into Pulse tokens on Pulse Chain through us. So we're bringing a DEX aggregator and a cross-chain solution to Pulse Chain.
Yeah, this sounds really wonderful, because I think about, this preview that we just had, right? Nobody really expected the launch of Ethereum Fair, Ethereum PAL. But when it happened, people are like, oh, I have Hex over there, I want to try this out. But no one had any solutions as to how to get this new Ethereum, how to get more of this new Hex or whatever it is that you were investing in. So I love the solutions that you guys are bringing to the table for launch, so that when we get there, we are ready. And like you said, that is how you create massive adoption, by being open to everyone, right? There's so many people on Binance, there's so many people on Polygon and AVAX and all these different chains. Why should we just limit ourselves to, new people coming in and saying that this is the cheapest way or the most efficient way? So I love what you guys are doing with that part. I have a question as far as your sacrifice phase. Was that in order to get the Watt token? Is that what your sacrifice is going to? What do you get for if you had sacrificed in Powercity?
You get the joy of knowing that you supported a political statement to support a free market. A free market is important. It's important to all of us. And we want options. We don't want only one thing through one door. We want competition, and we want a lot of options so that everybody's working and has the ability to go the route that they want to go. So that's what Powercity is all about.
All
Can I
right.
make one more input to do with the cross-chain solution that we're building?
Yeah.
So one really important thing to remember in crypto is every single trade that you execute is a taxable event. So a trade is a taxable event, yeah? But you can come to our cross-chain swap and be able to move straight out of whatever token you hold into whatever token that you're desiring on the other chain in one trade. So instead of making 5, 4, 3 multiple different transactions and trades to be able to get to the landing point that you desire, which is each a taxable event, we're allowing you to do it in just one single trade.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean, these are things that most people don't think about when, you know, it's very easy to click these buttons and be disassociated from the fact that it's real money, right? Or has real value. And it's very easy to forget about tax implications of all these things. Now, different people throughout the world have different rules, but I know here in the US, and I believe in Australia as well, you know, every time you exchange one thing for another, that is a taxable event. And, you know, that's something that is supposed to be recorded and tracked, and it becomes a lot of work. If you wait until year end to update all those records and capture that, I did 2 years worth last year, and it took me literally like 2 or 3 weeks of nonstop working on it to get it done. So highly recommend you keep that stuff organized, especially if you trade a lot. You want to do that very often and keep it up to date, because these tracking tools like Coinly and others, they don't always get it right, and you have to massage the data to, you know, record what you were really doing or intending at that time. HEX Stakes is a great example, where when you're staking, it doesn't necessarily record those events the way it should, and you have to go and massage it a little bit to show that, you know, you didn't dispose of the hex when you staked, you locked it up and you got it back plus some more when you unstaked it, right? So it's a whole, you know, there's a whole bunch of nuances to it. We talk a lot about the Coinly and things in the CryptoGov Telegram group. It's one of Richard Hart's groups where we talk about specifically crypto taxes and crypto and government. So, and that's for all governments. So if you want to talk Australian taxes, or there's a lot of folks from the UK who discuss taxes there, etc. So there's a lot of information passed in there. Highly recommended.
If you happen to have the link to that Telegram, or at least the name, then maybe you can type it in the private chat, and then I'll share it in the chat of the main chat. Uh-oh, we lost LV for a second. I guess I shouldn't guess I shouldn't ask you for that link. Should I not have asked you for that link?
Not figured that one. Okay, hold on. We're happening Costello here with our connectivity today.
Right. So yeah, once we get that link, I'll go ahead and post that in the chat. Oh, here we go. While I'm doing that, should we talk about another component that you guys are working on?
Sure. So, I mean, just to talk, step back about the core. So the core was that central staking area. The really interesting thing about the core is that when you stake Watt, we're not rebasing by giving you more Watt tokens. As Katie mentioned, we're actually passing through a portion of the revenue that is generated by all the different dApps in the ecosystem. So you're staking Watt, but you're getting Pulse and let's say USDL or loan tokens, or maybe some other things that might be collected as fees in the future. So all of those things would be able to be collected. The key, though, is when you're staking in the core, every day your Watt remains staked, your allocation of the staking rewards pool rebases or goes up by 1%. So basically, the longer you remain staked, the larger your share of the pool becomes compared to people trying to get in tomorrow or the next day. It's very similar to the idea of a T-share, right? When you get your T-shares in Hex today, you're getting the best rate available today, right? You're getting the best possible rate forever going forward, because it's only going up in units of Hex, right? And it's the same idea there, that every day the same allocation, the same number of amps that represent your share of the staking rewards pool will cost more and more watt going forward. And it will take more and more economic energy to gain the same share of the pool that you might have gotten on day one by getting in early and staking and just claiming your rewards. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah. So if it goes up daily, does that mean that there is no like minimum time lock required? It's more of just the longer you stay, the better the pay.
Correct. There's no time locking required. So it's just the longer you remain staked, right? You maintain that allocation, or it keeps growing. And those who come later are going to have to spend that much more to get the same allocation that you did earlier. Again, very similar to T-shares, because if you got T-shares on day one versus T-shares today, you're paying two different rates, and you're having to spend more HEX today, and you're going to have to stake longer to get the same benefit as someone who staked HEX on day one. But we're doing it, the calculations a little bit different, but the concept is similar enough that I think this community specifically will really relate to that. The nice thing also is that you can claim without having to unstake, and that staked watt is represented as an NFT that can be traded on the Pixel Park NFT marketplace. So if you want to exit, you could just unstake, lose your place in line, kind of like emergency unstaking your HEX, right? Get your watt back. Remember, you're not getting more watt. So if you put 100 watt in and you unstake a year later, you're getting 100 watt back, even though that 100 watt might be making a higher yield than someone who goes in at day 365, right? So instead of unstaking, you can sell the NFT. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you sell the NFT, it's not only the value of the 100 watt, but also the value of the APR that is being paid out to that 100 watt due to the fact that it's been staked for a full year. So that NFT could potentially be significantly more valuable depending on the market due to the yield that it's earning. And this is something we're really excited about when we talk about Pixel Park. I know you're mentioning some of the amazing artwork that Melted Minds are doing, and they have some really great stuff that's lined up for Pulse Chain. But we're also really excited about bringing a lot of DeFi utility to NFTs as well. So this is a great example of staked watt being an NFT that can be traded, right? Another is the partnership with Boxable, where we have tiny homes that can be manufactured in Boxable's manufacturing facility in Las Vegas and shipped anywhere throughout the country and or the world, right? And they'll be launching a exclusive collection on Pulse Chain of 10,000 NFTs, representing the ability to claim those and have the home manufactured in their facility and shipped out to you. First of its kind, right? And here we have a Kickstarter type concept, but on the blockchain as an NFT that can be really resold. So how many people who went and bought a space in the in line for a Tesla Cybertruck wish that they could sell their space in line to somebody else because they want to go get something else, but somebody else wants that truck reservation? Well, you can't do that. But if it was an NFT, you could. And because you're number 10 in line, you might get a better rate than maybe who's 10,000 behind you, right? So it opens this whole secondary market that has just amazing possibilities that weren't necessarily available in, without Pixel Park and without some of these ideas, being brought to the market. So we're really excited about that for sure.
Yeah, I know that's one thing that I have a lot of respect for your Powercity, because you guys continuously aim to create collaborations that focus on new adoption, right? It's not just staying within this one chamber, but it's innovation that says, let's bring in these users, let's bring in these users, and let's collaborate, in the crypto space in general. So love what you guys are doing. Katie, is there anything that you want to comment on as far as what LV just said?
One good thing to remember about our core, because we do have protocol-owned liquidity, is even if you unstake your watt, so again, if you staked 100 watt and you unstake 100 watt, essentially our watt token is collaterally backed by Pulse. So there is no guarantee what it's going to be back with right now, but say you deposited 10,000 pulse and you got 100 watt, essentially you should still be able to sell your 100 watt for the same backing of pulse, which is in the protocol own liquidity. And having our own AMM, essentially you don't eat slippage like you do out on the market if you were just executing a trade in like a DEX or Pulse X. You eat, the market moves against you, where essentially it can't with us because we are going to fully back the Watt token with Pulse.
Well, the slippage will be a little bit less. So, I mean, there still is, if you do a huge buy, you will still push the price up, right? And just like you would in Uniswap. But the curve is much, much more efficient than what you would find in, say, Uniswap V2 for sure.
Absolutely. So we've been talking about the core primarily. What are the other things that we want to discuss? We've talked about your relationship with Boxable, some of the NFT uses within the system. Do we want to talk about Pixel Park, or is there another focus that you'd like to get into?
Amplifier.
Let's do it.
Amplifier is our custom built front end for liquid loans. So essentially any compounding strategy that you see out in the community at the moment, we are building you an application to come and compound those strategies. So even while you're asleep, your money can be compounding for you through our application. So if you want to run the HOBPRL strategy in the stability pool, or if you want to run haunted strategy with the collateral, you can come to our front end, our amplifier, and be able to automate those strategies.
Okay, let's go a little deeper with that. You gave me a couple of examples, but for some people who are a little bit, newer to this industry, what does that really mean?
So essentially the HOBPRL strategy is you can open up a trove or already have USDL bought off the market and hop into the stability pool. And from the stability pool, you get rewards and you can compound those rewards to earn greater yield. So instead of happening to go back and collect your compound or your interest that you've got and go put it back into a pool or into the staking pool, our automated front end will do that for you automatically.
Okay.
So it constantly will compound. It's kind of like adding to your stake, but without having to do anything, it does it for you.
Like that. Anything that takes something off my plate is A-okay. Anything to add else?
Yeah, it'll definitely give you your time back. So, liquid loans and liquidity that came before it, they're built on three major components. There's the vault or trove, where you are adding collateral and minting a stable coin based off the value of the collateral. There's the stability pool, where people are putting up their stable coins to back any loan that ends up going below its minimum collateralization ratio, so that can be burned to maintain that value, that stable coin value, to $1, right? So it's an internal mechanism. But as a reward for providing those stable coins in the stability pool, you are earning a little bit extra on those liquidations, and you are farming the loan token. That loan token can be put in the third component, which is the staking pool. And the loan token being farmed, staked in the staking pool, will earn the lending and redemption fees that are generated by the liquid loans protocol. So every time you take a loan, a little bit of the USDL is peeled off as a fee, and that's paid to the loan token staking pool. Every time you redeem USDL to get Pulse back as collateral, you are then, some of that Pulse is being delivered to the staking pool as revenue, right? So you have three different ways that you can now use this protocol. And each one of those can be connected in these various different strategies that the communities come up with to achieve different things. So, one of them is a leverage trading scenario that takes every time the price goes up 10%, you're buying more Pulse and you're adding it back to your vault so that your collateralization ratio maintains higher. You can basically accumulate more and more and more and more Pulse by borrowing against the value that you have accumulated. The hot pull strategy, the other strategy that Katie was describing, is more about starting with some stable coins, putting that in a staking pool so that you can earn those loan tokens and start putting that into the staking pool to earn the loan fees. And as you're getting those fees, you're feeding that back into the other components to raise those balances. And as your collateralization ratio goes higher, you can take another loan. Or as your stability pool share goes higher, you'll earn more loan tokens. Those loan tokens will subsequently be put right back into the staking pool so you can earn more fees. And you can see how this keeps compounding from component to component, back and forth in this beautiful triangle relationship between the three of them. This tool is going to allow you to connect two or more of these practically any way you want, and allow it to, if you want to put it on autopilot, you can even go on autopilot and have it run daily, periodically for you, even when you're not paying attention to it. So you don't have to worry about tracking the price of Pulse. Did it go up 10% today or not? Is it time to take another loan or not? Do I have rewards to claim or not? It'll just do it for you. So it's this power, this constant compounding, right? Compounding interest, and the power of automation that is hopefully going to give everyone their time back while giving them the ability to really benefit from this protocol.
Yeah.
Our protocol also offers people to actually build on top of our protocol again. So essentially you need $2,000 to actually be able to open up a trove. So somebody in the community can actually build a protocol to do a pool together. So the community can pull funds together to be able to open up a trove through our protocol itself, our application, to run those strategies for the community on a bigger volume. So obviously bigger still pays better. So essentially somebody can build on top of us again still.
Yeah, I mean, I see that it's a lot of moving pieces, right? There's definitely some complicated aspects where you're probably going to need more than just one stream to really understand everything. But I love what you said, LV, about the power of automation. I mean, I think that that's key in this space, is to make it to where people are more inclined to try it because it's easier, right? A lot of people, that's why, to me, that's why Doge did what it did. That's why Robinhood was so successful, it was because the ease of the application. So a front end that takes away some of these more complicated practices and allows you to still benefit off of the function sounds wonderful to me.
That's the greatest challenge in all this, is having something that is incredibly complex like the amplifier and appealing to both newer users and also experienced users. Experienced users, they want all the knobs and the switches and the sliders and the buttons, and they want to have all the doodads to play with because they really want to get into the details and really customize their strategy and dial it in. Newer users might just want an easy button, right? And trying to find the balance between those things is incredibly difficult because, leverage is a very powerful tool. It's also a very dangerous tool, and we don't want people to use it, unwisely. We want them to be smart about it and to be able to leverage this tool in a way that benefits them. So, trying to figure out, like, do we put guardrails or not? Do we put limits or not? Do we try to figure out, an easy button, or do we force people to really make decisions? It's a really challenging, every little decision has an impact. And, there will be a learning curve, only because, people need to be aware, just like in any financial product, any banking product that you're going to buy from your corner bank or your broker or anything else. It's the same thing in crypto. And anything in crypto, you need to take the time to really understand what it is you're doing and what this thing is going to be doing on your behalf, right? I mean, how many people say that Hex is it's an intelligence test, right? It's an IQ test, because there's like the 12 steps you got to go through to finally get that aha moment that tranquil serenity of understanding. So that's how it works, right? Because here you think you understand, oh, it's just staking. Okay. Oh, it's just like a CD. Okay. And then you start peeling back the layers and you realize this is a very sophisticated yet simple, elegant solution to something that actually has some really interesting methods going on behind the scenes to drive these good behaviors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another point to remember too is a lot of people are really worried about security and risk factors involved with applications, especially applications that are built on top of things. And one great aspect to our amplifier, our Liquid Loans front end, is we use user-defined logic. So essentially, we just abstract the logic in the contracts from Liquid Loans and reapply them into our application, but we compartmentalize them. So essentially, we just abstract their logic and split it up into different sections and reapply it into our application. So there is no added additional risk factors when it comes to utilizing our front end, because it's the same as utilizing Liquid Loans, because we are just abstracting their logic out of their contracts.
Yeah, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, we can't get into the exact architecture just yet, but it is really exciting that the solution is not pulling everyone together. It's allowing you to have your personalized solution, Katie to have her personalized solution, and Long Vacation to have my personalized solution, and each of us running and owning our own trove, our own staking shares, right? It is all owned by your wallet. It's not pulled together with everyone else's. It's not owned by some other contract that you then have to beg for your funds back later on. It is owned by your wallet. It's a very important detail, right? Because when it's all said and done, it's your assets. We're just helping make it easier to use Liquid Loans to be able to accomplish some really great things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to know about the amplifier?
I think that's enough for now. We do have a video on YouTube where I kind of went through the presentation that we provided while in our Las Vegas event. And it does have a sneak peek of the amplifier in action. It also has a sneak peek of the core in action. So these are early views of what the tools will look like. We are still in internal testing. We're still tweaking things and correcting and massaging. So please don't hold us to that button's not the same thing that you had in the video, right? It's good. It's going to change, but it's a great view of what to expect and how things will play out. So,
and will there be like a testnet version before launch, or is that an expectation?
Definitely a test net before launch. So we're working. I can't say timing though. That's because the second I promise the date, we're going to miss it because of course something happens and software is hard, and that's always how it happens with software development. But we are working very hard to get to a public test net to let people start playing around with things. I think we're closer to the core, and then maybe amplifier, and then we have to talk about what might come after that or what might evolve from there. So as far as timing is concerned, it just depends on how things evolve.
And when Richard Hart did announce the pulse chain delay, we kind of took that underneath our wing as a bit of time frame to actually implement better features inside of our application. So our core, for instance, the ability to be able to have the NFT representation, to be able to move it between wallets, to be able to take it to Pixel Park, sell it on the secondary market. So we are using the time frame that we've been given to add additional features to better our products.
Yeah, I've been saying it, since we didn't get launched in mid-May, that it was really a blessing in disguise, right? I feel like we were all, even in, the work that I do, planning workshops, planning tours, we were just so happy that it was happening, that we were rushing what it is that we do, right? Just to be ready, just to be there. When, I think that we're going to be really surprised at how great the space is when it launches. Now that we've had this extra time to commit to, perfecting and, like you said, upgrading what was already there.
Yeah, I agree. And I, for one, personally will be the first to admit I did not expect ETH 2.0 final beacons phase to go live in April when it did. So I think it caught a lot of people in the crypto space off guard, including Richard Hart himself. So the beacon chain was running parallel since years ago, but the final phase of ETH 2.0 wasn't running parallel to the very start of April this year. And then it went live. They ran some testing, obviously, prior. They noticed, everything's going great. We'll announce the merge. They announced it. So towards the end of April, they went, yeah, it's definitely going live. We're doing the merge in September. And then all of a sudden, we're like, okay, there's going to be a rewrite in the code. We're making some improvements. There's going to be a delay now, guys. So he did give us slight pre-warning and some context of what was happening. I don't think a lot of people really quite caught on, but I think, in my opinion, it's all great things.
Yeah, I agree. So if we've gone through the core, we've kind of gone through the amplifier. Is Pixel Park the last part that you guys are kind of working on in parallel or at the same time?
Sure. So that's coming together. We've broken it into multiple phases, and it's also given us a chance to go back and reevaluate certain things that we had already kind of put together earlier in the year. Given some more time, we were able to go back and kind of pivot on a few important things that, again, they're allowing us to add some really unique, groundbreaking type features that you're not going to see on any other chain. We're not ready to announce them just yet. There's a lot of competition on Pulse Chain alone, let alone on Ethereum and Solana for NFT concepts. But let's just say that we are trying to make an extremely full-featured NFT marketplace in Pixel Park that not only will highlight amazing artwork and content, but also DeFi. Yield bearing NFTs and other things, and bring some really interesting capabilities to the forefront that will benefit many parts of the community, not just traders, but creators, influencers, and so on. I mean, everybody who is involved in all aspects of NFTs will see something designed to benefit them in some form or fashion. And we just love it. We just love finding ways to interpret what's been done before us, find ways to be more inclusive, right? And trying to bring something new to the market that people haven't seen before, and making it work well within our ecosystem. As I mentioned, the staked watt NFTs can be traded on Pixel Park. We'll have the NFTs for Boxable on Pixel Park. There's other things we have in mind that would be listed on Pixel Park. And just as Katie was saying, hey, there are some things that we're building in some of our protocols that theoretically are open-ended enough that other people could build their own utilities on top of what we're doing. Pixel Park will have things kind of like that as well, right? So we're thinking about a living, thriving community that wants to just keep adding value and pulling these things together and bringing new concepts into this blockchain, stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else.
Absolutely. Are you able, we have a Crypto BD asking, are you able to speak on this?
So are we ready to launch? So you have to define soon. In reality, I'm sure, Katie, you have an opinion on this. I'll just say real quick. I think based on the latest announcements, we're waiting for a testnet version 3. Mm-hmm. And my assumption is we'll see probably at least a 30-day shakeout on that before we hear an announcement on launch. That's my own opinion. I don't know, Katie, what you think.
I think V3 will go probably live before the end of this year, but I do not see Pulse Chain being launched. In my opinion, it's completely speculative until Q1, Q2 of 2023. Mm-hmm. But that's completely speculation just based off the code. So he is forking ETH 2.0, but he has got additional features that he is implementing. And one of the biggest things is every time you implement a feature into something, a contract or logic that already pre-exists, you essentially break something prior in the logic of a contract. So his additional features will on issues with launch. So he will have things that he needs to fine tune in his own consensus. Powercity, and that truly just depends on when Pulse Chain is announced, because obviously we are taking the time to implement better features ourselves. Time frame, they could line up or they could not. Hopefully they do line up though. We have a lot of devs, several dev teams that work extremely hard, an in-house dev team that works even harder. So our team is all hands on deck and they can continuously move forward. So
Yeah. So if somebody wanted, because I know that the sacrifice was, a while ago, but if somebody wanted to get involved with Power City at this point, would they need to wait until after launch, or is there a way to still at right now get involved?
So technically, the sacrifice remains open until the fork for Pulse Chain is announced. We set those terms when we started sacrifice back in. I'm going to get this wrong. I want to say March, and everything is on sacrificenow.io. All the terms are still there. We're sticking to everything that we posted on there, and we did our best to try to design a process that would be as fair as possible. And at the time, there was a lot of sacrificed exhaustion. People were, just kind of low on funds, and it's kind of like, I need time. And we were more worried about giving people the ability to participate on their own timing, to make their political statement when they can, how they want to, right, within the constraints of the rules that we set up. That was more important than setting a same kind of price ramp that Pulse Chain, PulseX sacrifices, and several others had, where it got more and more expensive and more difficult every day that you waited to get involved. So we've been locked at a 1-to-1 rate of $1 value sacrifice to 1 sacrifice points for many months now. Okay. And we'll continue to do so until the fork for Pulse Chain is announced. So our effort has been to just remain true to our word and to deliver, what we're working on. As far as timing, when we go live, just like Katie said, it really depends on things. And we've committed to a public test net. We've committed to audits, third-party audits. We're not going to rush to market and skip these steps and play, take any risks with people's security, with their, and we're not going to just rush to the market just to say we had firsties, right? I mean, that's not as important as having a quality product delivered to the market that is well thought out, well tested, vetted, and thoroughly reviewed by third parties before it goes live.
Our sacrifice does also have bonuses and milestone bonuses. So if you sacrifice for Pulse Chain, PulseX, liquid loans, or internet money, there is a bonus for your sacrifice if you sacrifice out of the same wallet that you did to those. And the milestone bonuses, every time we hit a milestone, it's like a lottery draw. And people with addresses sitting in the sacrifice get put into the draw to get an additional bonus as well.
Okay. I like the little game theory behind that. It sounds fun.
Well, we wanted to recognize everyone that's helping make Pulse Chain and this broader ecosystem a reality, right? These are all the people who they took a chance on Pulse Chain, on PulseX, and on these other tools that are coming, were coming before Power City. They're taking the chance, believing in these teams to deliver something new and inventive and inspiring, right? And we're inspired by them because they're willing to take a chance on us. And it's out of respect for them, this community that's made this possible. We want to give back. And we, for those who have participated in those events, that we can give them something extra, that we can recognize, that kind of tip the hat to them and say, hey, here's a bonus, here's something extra, because you guys are awesome. You're making this a reality, right? This is not run by a bunch of VCs who want to just extract your value once it goes live. This is a community effort, and we want to deliver for that community for sure.
I love it. I'm a little FOMOing over here. I'm like, oh, let me go check out, let me go check out my stacks. But yeah, this has been great. I feel like you guys provided an awesome overview as to what Power City is bringing to the table. I know that Jesse is over on your channel right now, starting up his stream. It probably started about 10 minutes ago. So I'm going to tell the chat to head on over there as we close down here. But if you guys have any final words, where people can find you or follow up with the Powercity team or you personally, let's start with Katie, and then LV, you close us out.
I'm definitely most active on Twitter, KDP Crypto. If you'd want to jump into our Telegram, that's definitely the best place to get updates about Powercity.
Perfect.
And for me, it's a long vacation. At long vacation, also, if you've been watching my camera, it's been scrolling back and forth to my left shoulder here the whole time. So powercity.io for the website, t.me/powercity.io for Telegram, at powercity.io for Twitter. There's also a Twitter handle for Pixel Park NFT Marketplace, at Pixel Park NFT Marketplace, to keep up with events specific to that project as well. So we're looking to definitely pull together a lot more content on our YouTube channel and to start pulling together some more educational information. Jesse's been doing a series of unplugged videos, getting to know personalities within our community, much the same as you're doing here with this awesome series. And you know, it's exciting just to learn more about all the people that are kind of making this community work and pushing us forward, right? Because whether it's producing content, whether it's producing dApps that'll be launching on Pulse Chain, events that bring everyone together, that promote Pulse Chain and Hex, I mean, everyone's doing something here and we're contributing to this community. It's great to know everyone that's involved. So we really do appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much. And as always, it's been a pleasure working with you and the KSB TV team. You guys are awesome. So just keep doing what you're doing. It's great stuff.
We really appreciate that, LV. And on that thought, I'm going to leave you guys with a promo for our next meetups in San Diego for the Hex birthday. LV, Katie, thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time.
Thanks for having us.